Since Repair Clinic encourages you to perform this repair safely, a warning icon will appear when you should use caution. To replace the throttle linkage on this Briggs Stratton engine, you will need a 5/16" nut driver, a 10mm socket, a 10mm wrench, a T30 Torx bit, a hose clamp, and both regular and needle nose pliers. Before you begin this procedure, make sure the engine has cooled. We also recommend there be little or no fuel in the tank. Using the 5/16" nut driver, unthread the 2 screws securing the throttle cover plate. Shift the throttle lever to the right so you can detach the plate. Next, use the 10mm socket to unthread the 2 front screws, securing the fuel tank to the bracket. Use the 10mm wrench to unthread the 2 rear screws securing the tank. Move the tank out of the way. Use the hose clamp to prevent fuel from spilling out of the fuel line. Then use pliers to release the spring clamp so you can detach the fuel line from the carburetor and set the tank aside. Now use the 5/16" nut driver to unthread the 2 mounting screws, securing the air filter cover. Remove the cover and the air filter. Then unthread the screws securing the filter base. Pull the choke lever off so you can move the base out of the way. Using the T30 Torx bit, unthread the 2 mounting screws securing the carburetor, spacer, and gaskets. Unhook the throttle linkage and spring from the carburetor. You can now fully detach the old throttle linkage and spring from the governor arm. To install the new throttle linkage, insert the spring aligned with the longer end of the linkage into the small hole in the governor arm. Using needle nose pliers will make this easier. With the spring in place, insert the linkage into the governor arm. Now attach the opposite ends of the linkage and spring to the throttle lever on the carburetor. Confirm the gasket and spacer are in place on the cylinder head. Then insert the 2 mounting screws through the carburetor and slide the carburetor gasket onto the screws. Position the assembly, then thread the screws into the cylinder head. Insert the 2 mounting screws through the base, then align the base and thread the screws into the carburetor. Replace the choke lever. With the pre-cleaner positioned in the cover, followed by the air filter with its rubber gasket facing outward, align the cover on the base and secure it with the screws. Reinstall the fuel tank by first reattaching the fuel line to the carburetor. Secure it with the spring clamp, then remove the hose clamp. Reposition the tank on the bracket, then rethread the rear and front screws. Reposition the throttle cover plate and rethread the screws. If necessary, refill the fuel tank, and the engine should be ready for use.